on the road. I now reckon that I could handle any problem on a diesel engine truck. The vehicles that we use for these expeditions are built by ourselves. We purchase a basic chassis and we put onto it a military body with our own designed cover with clear windows in, and the sides of this can roll up in a number of combinations so that people can be exposed to the country they're travelling through. The great beauty of these is that although at times they can let in the cold, you do get a lot more physical contact with the countries you're travelling through. I think it's true to say that the majority of people who go on these trips leave the trip at the end changed to some degree, in some aspect, from the person who joined that trip. Certainly, the problems that they've come through as a group, problems of interrelation between themselves, problems of tolerance, problems which are exacerbated by sometimes tiredness, sometimes discomfort, could really blow a group apart if people didn't learn that kind of tolerance. And I think it's the kind of tolerance which will stay with them forever. Yeah, that's one of the water systems I was telling you about. If you look at the brick construction around the walls, I think that they find adventure in their contacts with the countries that they go through, which they realize after the event is adventure. It doesn't have to be dramatic or exciting or dangerous to be adventure. And it's the draft which keeps the water nice and cool. It's really interesting how they managed to build the whole thing up. The journey across the Iranian desert takes 4 days. Fairly long, hot, dusty driving. But the monotony is broken up by caravanserais where we spend our nights. Traditionally, the caravanserais were sighted 1 day's march by camel away from each other. We cover in 4 days the same distance across the desert as the camel trains would have taken 16 days to 3 weeks to cover. Herat marks our entrance into Afghanistan. There's a gun fired every day at noon. But I've always wondered how it is that the gunner sets his watch. Does he do it by the gun, or does he fire the gun according to his watch? The realities of travelling in distant parts, I think undoubtedly have to be different from one's imaginings. To me, an Afghan was some figure from a woodblock print in a book about India. The reality of an Afghan was so beyond that, their strength of character which comes through in their most simple action. For the normal traveller, there is only one route through Afghanistan, the southern road, and this is asphalted. There are two other ways, the central route, which goes high into the Hindu Kush, and on this particular occasion we tried the northern route.
Run them back absolutely straight. Yeah. The minute you tilt your front wheels, it just won't take. Got it?
I think the northern route has proven to be more of a challenge than any road I have done. There are invariably hazards on this trip, physical hazards. These really involve the vehicle and the roads that we're travelling on. A large proportion of the trip is on dirt roads. A fair proportion of it is on tracks which would turn a hardened truckie's hair grey through mountain passes, rutted hairpin bends. One's driving ability is very taxed on this. You have to know exactly to the inch where all four wheels are, because it is possible to drop a wheel over the edge. We were hit by a sandstorm crossing a small desert called the Dashti Laili. It was most unexpected. It hit us really very suddenly. You have to stop. You can't see where you're going, and you have to batten everything down to protect passengers from driving sand, because the force of the wind can really rip things off the vehicle. Then attempt to get some kind of landmarks before the visibility went completely. The sand does obliterate your tracks, and you really can't tell where you are, where you've come from, and where you're going to. Then you see some Afghan come dozing out of the sand, hardly give you a look, and carry on past. You long to ask, where are you going? Where have you come from? But he just disappears into the murk, going about his everyday business. These wild areas of Afghanistan, the deserts and the mountains, which to us are really pretty adventurous, have in fact been travelled by man and beast since travelling began.
Monday.